Welcome back. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Namibia this Wednesday on an official state visit. The visit will be the first visit of Prime Minister Modi to Namibia and the third ever prime ministerial visit between New Delhi and Windhoek. Namibia is the final leg of Prime Minister Modi's five-nation visit, following trips to Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Brazil. Joining us now to unpack the significance of this visit, I'm joined by Indian High Commissioner to Namibia, Rahul Shrivastava. High Commissioner, good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Namibia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is ours. It's a very busy week for you and the High Commission. Speak to us about the significance of this week and of this visit.
The visit takes place after 27 years, so it's a significant visit. And the visit is taking place when Namibia has also made history in terms of the first female president taking over this year. So the Prime Minister comes to personally congratulate her. We also had the passing away of Dr. Sam Nujoma, which was a very tragic event. And when the Prime Minister comes, he pays homage to Dr. Sam Nujoma, who was a great friend of India. Plus, we have a lot of things to discuss as it happens between two very friendly countries.
Now, if we have specific regard to the relations between the two nations, with specific emphasis on trade inter alia, speak to us about that component, that element of the visit.
Yes, trade and investment is always a very important aspect of bilateral relations, more so in case of Namibia. Our bilateral trade last year reached about $800 million, and it is quite significant. Our investments are not very big, but then still over 850 million. So after the visit, we are hoping to scale up both in terms of trade and investment. There are some areas that we have identified, plus some investments from India, mostly from public sector companies in critical minerals, heavy rare earth. Those are the things that we will discuss. And shortly after the visit, I think discussions on these areas would also start. So we are hoping an upswing both in trade and investment after the visit.
High Commissioner, 800 million isn't small change. Could you give us an overview of the sectors we're talking about in terms of the bilateral trade?
Bilateral trade, the biggest sector is mineral oil, and that was a big chunk of the 800 million. We have pharmaceutical, textile, and a lot of other products. From Namibia, we have exports of copper, some mineral, and similar products. But we are looking at expanding the trade basket that we have between our countries, because I can give an example. In Namibia, you have good marble, so that's one thing which is picking up. So there are some other areas we have identified. And hopefully, with the visit, and also we are discussing the preferential trade agreement with SACU. When those two things happen, our trade will again significantly jump. We are hoping to cross 1 billion soon.
Now, apart from trade, apart from investment, which are the other pillars that form part of this bilateral relationship?
The political relation is the biggest pillar, because we started with on a good note. We were together in the struggle for independence of Namibia. So I would say political relations forms the basis of our relations. But that has also led to robust economic relations. Capacity building is an important pillar for our cooperation with Namibia. Similarly, culture, education are some of the other pillars that our relations stand on. And finally, the people-to-people contacts, yes.
Of course. Which brings me to the next question. What does the tourism picture look like between Namibia and India?
We see more and more of tourists coming from India to Namibia. Yes, we have tourists from Namibia to India, but not so many. I would tell in this regard that the cheetah diplomacy has helped, because in India, people identify. If they don't know about Namibia, if you tell them, okay, where the cheetahs came from, they know. So I see that the number of tourists has been growing to Namibia. So that way, the cheetahs have kind of become the brand ambassador of Namibia in India.
Very well. Two sectors that you also mentioned that form part of the pillars relate to capacity building and education. Many Namibian was trained in India and continues to be trained there. How fundamental is that component?
Yes, that's an important aspect of our relations all over Africa, and primarily in Namibia, which is capacity building, both in terms of training and also projects. So far, in our short-term courses, which we call ITEC, we have trained over 1,700 government officials from Namibia. We are hoping to increase that capacity building in terms of training in the areas of agriculture, pharmacy, IT, cybersecurity. These are some new areas we are looking at. Education, yes, we offer scholarships to Namibian students. Right now 25, but there are a couple of hundred private students also who go to universities in India.
Now, against the backdrop of those sectors, do you foresee any bilateral agreements, any memoranda of understanding being signed this week?
We have a long list, so we are discussing, and because all agreements require a lot of formalities from both sides. So yes, some will be signed, but we don't know how many. So we are, till the last minute, we'll be working on those. And those which can't be signed shortly after the visit, because we have done a lot of work on all the agreements. So then shortly after the visit, we should be able to sign several of them.
You were clear that by far the most important pillar is the political cooperation and collaboration. With so many matters on the global agenda at the moment, do you see any of those being part of the conversations, such as climate change, such as the geopolitical tension?
Yes, we have the Prime Minister coming, he meets the President, they have a long, they'll have delegation level talks, and all the multilateral and international issues of importance will be discussed, because as countries of Global South, we think alike and our positions are similar on most of the issues, whether it is climate change, whether it is reforms of multilateral institutions, whether it is the various crises that are happening all over the world. We have similar positions, so we would like to synchronize that, and then the Prime Minister comes, surely we'll have discussions on that also.
Coordinating a visit of this scope and magnitude certainly is no walk in the park. Could you please walk us through the Prime Minister's itinerary during the visit?
It's a one-day visit, and that makes preparations a little more difficult, because it's a state visit, and the state visit has got several elements which you can't avoid. So you have to have that. The visit starts with the ceremonial welcome that happens at the State House. Thereafter, a meeting with the President, a long one where they have one-to-one meeting, plus thereafter the delegation level talks. And then we have the signing of MOUs. So we have the banquet, official banquet, which will be hosted by the President. Thereafter, the visit to Heroes Acre, where the Prime Minister pays homage to the founding father of Namibia. And then thereafter, in the afternoon, we have an address to the Parliament. Plus, the Prime Minister would also be meeting the Indian community. We have a small committee here, but a very vibrant one.
Very well. Speak to us about what can be expected in Parliament on that day.
The Parliament, it's an address to the members of Parliament, because it's again significant. This is a new Parliament that has been formed. Plus, through that address, that's the only public address that the Prime Minister does here. He will reach out to the Namibians, all of Namibians, and especially the youth.
You mentioned in your introductory overview that it's the first time in 27 years, if I remember you correctly. Yes. Why has it not happened earlier, and why is it happening at this particular point in time?
I think we can say that, okay, the visit is happening, we should be happy it's happening. But if you ask me why 27 years, I can put it this way. India is a large country and a developing country, so a country of 1.4 billion people. So a lot of time of our leaders goes into solving the domestic problems. So they are very much engaged in that. And the visits take place whenever they can. But because Global South is a highly important aspect for our Prime Minister, he lays emphasis on that. He makes sure that he's able to visit countries where there has been a long gap, like in Namibia. So that is where the visit is taking place after a long gap. And I can only say that it's not by design. It just so happens that, as I said, big country, and a lot of the time of the Prime Minister goes into resolving issues or working for the development of the country, so domestic issues primarily.
Although it may not be the case by the design, what does it mean for you for this visit to take place during your tenure?
Oh, well, I can't be happier and luckier, because I started my term as High Commissioner here not long ago, about 7 months. So when such visits happen at the beginning of your term, you have whatever 2-3 years that you're here, you build up on whatever was the outcome of the visit. So you have a lot of work, and you can make a lot of progress in the bilateral relations. You can deliver work on the outcomes. So yes, I'm very fortunate that the visit is taking place now.
Will the Prime Minister be heading home after this, and what does the rest of the year look like for him, and perhaps also for the High Commissioner while we're at it?
Well, yes, this is the last leg of the visit, and if you'll notice, Africa is a priority for us. He started with an African country, he's ending with an African country, and after that he goes back home. The year, the agenda would be full for the Prime Minister. He'll take some more visits this year. About the High Commission, I think the main priority I can say is following up on all the outcomes of the visit, because one of the areas that I mentioned is the long list of agreements. So some of which will be finalized, will be signing, but others soon after the visit will follow up. Similarly, discussions that take place, whether on investment in critical minerals or supply of uranium to India or capacity building. So these are the work that we'll have to do after the visit.
Any final thoughts, High Commissioner, before we let you go?
Well, I would like to tell that Namibia is a great friend of India, and we have stood with each other through thick and thin. The Prime Minister has got great respect for Namibia, and we have various connections, not the least cheetahs that connect us. So the visit will take this relation to a different level, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing those insights, and may everything go very well
Thank you
during
very
the
much.
state visit.